Okay, this video is a response to another YouTube video I ran into entitled "If You Can't Afford to Leave, You Don't Love Thailand." Um, YouTube's kind of an old, videos made by um, expat in Thailand, Westerner YouTubers is kind of a niche thing, so you get a lot of them in your alleged algorithms. If you just log into YouTube and you hear Westerners here. And for the most part, they range from awful to meh. But this video by Ramsey Travels, Ramsey, dude, this is some serious bullshit that you're spewing. And it's some sickening elitist crap. First of all, the whole phrase, if you loved ... you would ... is just manipulative bullshit. In general. But your premise is just not realistic. First of all, okay, if you come here to Thailand from somewhere in the West, I mean, it's expensive enough. It's not god awfully priced, and definitely probably in the lower echelon finance wise of expats here. But you can afford it's not much more to go to neighboring countries. I mean, come on, if you can come here, you can take a little trip to Vietnam or Malaysia or Cambodia. Okay, I've been to all of them. 2 out of those 3 multiple times. So to say that someone comes here with just enough money that then they're stuck here is horseshit. Okay? Um, and me, if although Thailand's where I want to be, I mean, Vietnam and Malaysia are real close runners up. That if something happened where I couldn't stay here, I'd happily go to either of those countries. Um, so that whole premise that someone's on that exact narrow and tight of a budget without being able to, you know, pull a few strings to take few short trips. The price of airline tickets to these places and the price of hotels is cheap. Maybe a little more expensive than a long-term rental, of course, for the same thing, but it's cheap. So that whole idea is frankly a lot of horseshit. But where your video really turns toxic is this really victim mentality idea that after you're here for a while, you're in an expat bubble. No, 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 no. Okay, the real world is not YouTube, where you receive certain info initially due to an alleged algorithm. You go out and you do whatever the hell you want. You chose to remain in that expat bubble. No one put a gun to your head and stay in it and said, stay in it. Didn't happen. And regardless of whether you wanted to divide them into 2 types of those who just love it and those who are just bitter, And he said the bitter people um, think that we're just not at all wanted here and they just want our money. Well, if you come just for the cheap consumerism, and there's nothing wrong with wanting, just in and of itself, wanting to bargain shop. It's what a lot of people do in the world all over, whether they travel or not. Often a necessity. But if all you come here for is a lower cost of living and you don't make any attempts to learn anything about, learn how to speak the language or try to, or learn anything about local culture, traditions, history, politics, current events, well, then you can't blame the locals for being pissed off at you, because then indeed you are coming here for cheap consumerism. And then all you love is the cheap consumerism, and you do not love Thailand. That applies to whether you're coming for whether you have a lot of money or not. It's still a shit attitude. It's still I'm going to come just to get a bargain and not care about the locals. Because you're actively choosing to not make any friends. And frankly, if you talk about, the street vendors and things, and cheap food, okay, a lot of these, street vendors, these are mom and pop people. They'll remember you if you frequent them. They'll be your friend. Now, granted, you're not going to necessarily make friends with every street vendor you frequent. General rules and guidelines of friendship of take your time to get to know people, quality beats quantity, and all that sort of thing still applies. But if you will not see a local street vendor who you frequent as a potential friend, then you're nothing but a fucking snob. You're a fucking snob. You can choose whether or not you make friends with the locals. And if you're not doing that, well, of course they're not going to want you around. Yeah. What the hell do you expect? Now, my Thai language skills aren't great, but I'm learning. And that goes a long way. Sounds to me like you don't give a flying fuck about learning the language. And it's true, you don't need to on a survival level, because the thing is, people who, have humble small mom and pop businesses as their livelihood are not going to let a language barrier prevent them from selling something. They'll do what they got to do, whip out Google Translate, use hand signals, whatever, if it means an interested person comes to their shop and they want to seal the deal. Just basic survival. Okay? But it's still contempt for them. If you're going to spend the time here and not try to learn the language. I mean, I even without ones that are, ones that frequent because of just not being in that location. I take a little border run a couple months ago I go to Da Nang in Vietnam, and so I'm crashing at a hotel near Don Muang the night before, and so I decided to go out. I walk around looking for the local street vendors for a bite to eat, and oh, by the way, the idea that everything's fried, No, no, yeah, a lot of it's fried, but a lot of it's grilled too. Not to mention, a lot of these street vendors um, sell fruit that probably has a better farm to table interval than you get in certain Western countries. Is certainly better than in the states where I'm from. So, to say that all the street food and cheap food is fried and thus unhealthy? Bullshit. Total fucking bullshit. But anyway, back to the story. So I'm walking out from the hotel. I was saying it's a relatively quick MRT ride over to Don Muang, and I go to this one uh, vendor who's grilling some meat, and it's got the bright orange glaze on it that can be used on various meats. It's cut in such a way that I can't really tell whether it's chicken or pork. Um, so I ask him like, "Oh, Sawadi Kap, ni, um, uh, ni mu, ru, ni gai. Is that chicken or pork?" Once, ni gai, ni gai. Okay. Taurai, how much? And he says back to me, sip. I go, oh, okay, which is 10. Um, I say, uh, Palm Owl, uh, me. I'll take 5 of them. And so he starts bagging up. I give him the money, and he says to me, "Kun put pasatai gang mak." You speak Thai very well. I don't. That's a really simple interaction. Being able to do that, that's not exactly anywhere near advanced, okay, dude? But that's what's fucking pathetic about a lot of you fuckers who come here. Is that a local with my very limited skills thought I spoke Thai really well. From just that. And so what I always say back is, Pom kit wa, Pom, Pom mai kit wa, Pom mai put pasa Thai again. De, Pom rujak, Farang ye ti prata Thai, mai put pasa Thai. Kan Thai galoi, put Pom wa, kun pasa Thai gang. I don't think I speak Thai very well, but I know that many foreigners here don't speak Thai. So Thai people say I speak good Thai, and which got a good laugh and thumbs up, which is what that line always gets. Usually both. And, it's just so, you know, if you're coming here and you're not trying to learn the language, and it's not easy for me. I like to think I'm a pretty smart guy, and it's been tough for me. But I learn, and I don't quit. And so, you think you're like fucking privileged and that they have to serve you and learn to speak your language for its convenience. No, fuck that. And no, I'm not going to say that, for like someone who's American, I'm not going to turn it around because it would be very inaccurate to do so and insist that those who come to the state should speak English and not stay in their own enclaves because it's a very different situation. Nobody put a fucking gun to our heads and said, get out of here. Okay, go to a foreign country. Okay, no one said that. No one forced us. But how many? Yeah, a lot of immigrants to the U.S., for example, not this would apply to plenty of Western countries. You know, they come there because some Western country, the U.S. is particularly guilty at this. Formerly, it was Britain. Um, Bombed their country or did some sort of slush funding of some coup military operation or whatever, that basically in some way or another turned their country into a war zone. So they figured the only safety from that kind of Western interference was to go to a Western country. So don't compare the experience of immigrants to the U.S. with those of us who choose quite willingly to go to Thailand or another place, anywhere in Southeast Asia, or for the most part, anywhere in the global South. It's not the same thing. You can't compare it. And to do so is really to be very ignorant of history and politics. And I'll say something for now. You've said that you came here, you got a wife already, and yeah, there's a lot of guys, myself included, come here single, and if you come here as a single guy, you can potentially find a Thai wife and marry her and stay totally faithful. You could also come here and bang a bunch of hookers. And you could do pretty much anything on the spectrum in between those two extremes. And as the Thai say, leote, up to you. Puyai ben puyai. Adults are adults. However, a Thai wife or a Thai girlfriend is not a ticket out of the expat bubble. It doesn't mean you're out of it. Because not only if you have a Thai wife or girlfriend, but you do not make friends with other locals platonically, regardless of what gender they are, then what you're being is, you're not only not out of your expat bubble, but what you're being is a fucking racist. Because the only relationships you are valuing with Thai people are those that involve sex. And, well, like I said, nothing wrong with, in and of itself, sex between consenting adults. If that's the only thing that someone puts value on in a relationship among people from an entire culture and nation, yeah, it's fucking racist. The reasons for coming here are as wide and varied as there are people, really, for anyone who goes anywhere. But when you say, well, in addition to the unreality of the notion that if you can't afford to leave, you don't love Thailand, well, have you ever thought about applying that to Thai people who are poor and who've never left Thailand for financial reasons? Does that mean that they don't love Thailand and being Thai? And some of them might not, but some of them probably do. And, what, in we have a perception in the West of everywhere else being poor. And, well, historically, that's largely because of colonialism, theft, rape, and murder. Um, so the fact that they're letting you come here should make you feel pretty honored, given um, history, even if you didn't personally enact it. You benefited. Granted, it's a perverse kind of benefit, but you benefited from it. So despite that, I would estimate that, and you can look up statistics, but I'll pretty much make a pretty solid bet without looking it up, that there are probably more Thai who've been out of Thailand than there are people from the U.S., where I come from, that have been out of the U.S. I mean, the majority of Americans, for example, never even apply for a passport. Now, granted, it's a little different in, say, Western Europe, where you got countries closer together. Yeah, most of them have been out of their country of origin. But were you even thinking about, poor Thai people and what your title implies on your views about them? Or were you just operating under an arrogant mindset of Western defaultism? Granted, Thailand is not as poor as most Westerners make it out to be. Yes, it's got significantly lower GDP, but when you convert that to purchasing power parity, and you also factor in that there are some things Thais have that don't factor into GDP, mainly a lot of them do have a house and some land in the family. So a lot of them, if they're living there rather than, going to another part of Thailand for work, are living rent free, and a lot of them have farmland where they're, can grow their own food. Not exactly a luxurious lifestyle, but during something like, say, oh, I don't know, COVID, you know, kind of increased the resiliency. Because even though the tourist dollars dried up, I mean, they had farm to go back to where they at least survive. It's that kind of shit don't appear on, GDP stats. But, it does significantly affect, quality of life. Especially when you consider that, when people come here, they're, you know, having to pay a rent and would have had to pay a rent or a mortgage or something back where they came from. So, nonetheless, they do what they got to do. And do you think that you talked about wanting to, about condemning a minimalist lifestyle. I mean, so if someone chooses that, so what? But, you got, a lot of working class Thai who might make $500 to $800 a month, but certainly they'd like to have more. Certainly it's not a luxurious lifestyle, but does that mean they're without a social life? Go to, like, the downtown of any mid-sized, Thai town, and you'll see all kinds of, public events and, night markets and, um, some of which have like concerts, and you see like people leading like aerobic sessions in the park that people can join in for free. You know, I mean, a lot of these are live music. I mean, there's plenty of social life here for even the humble folks. But you seem to be ignorant of all that. And yet here you are condemning people who do choose to live a simple life. Who the fuck do you think you are, man? Who the fuck do you think you are? Because all you're doing is just spreading this bullshit arrogance. That you can come here just to save some dollars or whatever currency, whatever your native unit of currency is, and learn nothing about the people and not befriend any locals. And it's not hard to do. It's really not. You just, you be yourself, you interact with people. And if you want to find a way to communicate, you communicate. Yeah, I'm struggling learning the language, but I haven't quit. And when it's important to you, you find a way. But you're more interested in just staying in that expat bubble, which is something you fully choose to do. It's not inevitable. You fucking chose it. Own your fucking choice. And own the fact that you're the one who doesn't love Thailand and doesn't give a fuck about Thai people. Go fuck yourself.